Welcome to the Pump Take Sports Show. This is our first ever hockey episode, and today we'll be covering one of my favorite events of the year, the World Junior Hockey Championship. We will be discussing our bracket and awards predictions, players to watch, X Factors, and 2021 NHL draft prospects playing in the tournament. Our guest on Pump Take today is Alex Hobson, a Colorado Avalanche journalist for the Hockey Writers and host of the Shanaclan podcast. Welcome to Pump Take, Alex. We're very excited to have you on the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This is I'm honored to be the first guest on the Pump Takes podcast, and even more honored to help bring in the new trend of hockey here on the show.
Absolutely, it's exciting. This is our first hockey video, eh?
Oh yeah.
It's a bit of an honor for you to be the first guest on our hockey episodes, and there will be many more appearances from Alex to come, I think, in the future. Let's start off by giving a little Pink Whitney cheers to
absolutely
our first hockey episode. All right.
Cheers.
So let's dive into the World Junior Hockey Championship. Now, as I mentioned, this is my favorite, probably my number one favorite annual sporting event of the year. It's really exciting to watch all 10 teams with these young prospects at the future of the hockey play against each other and play for their countries. Because, you know, when you're cheering for your country, it's a little different than when you're cheering for your team. You're representing the boys, and so I think with that, we can dive right in. So to start off, I think we'll just list out the pools. We've got Pool A and Pool B. Pool A consists of Canada, Germany, Finland, Switzerland, and Slovakia. And Pool B consists of Sweden, Russia, USA, Czech Republic, and Austria. If you want to start off with your bracket as the guest, I'll give you the driver's seat here. What do you think?
It would be an absolute honor to get this started. So, all right, so obviously in the first round, I guess if you want to call it the quarterfinals for Group A, I've got Canada and Slovakia in the first round. And it really came down, obviously, to Slovakia or Switzerland for that fourth spot in Group A. But I ended up going with Slovakia because Switzerland, unfortunately, doesn't seem to have a lot of guys this year who are returning. I think they only have 5 returning players total, and their skill has taken a severe setback in comparison to last year and the year before, where they actually did really well. And I think Slovakia kind of stepped out of their comfort zone with this year's tournament. Obviously, they added a couple of players who are 16 and who are pretty good draft prospects for the 2022 draft. And Slovakia is typically notorious for just selecting the oldest players possible and going with experience over skill. So I think with them stepping out of their comfort zone this year, I think it's going to be good enough to have them finish in fourth. And then obviously second place and third place, I've got Finland versus Germany in Group A. And then coming out of Group A into the semifinals between those two matchups, I've got Canada and Finland. And then if we want to take it over to Group B, I've got Russia and Czech Republic, 1 versus 4, and then USA versus Sweden, 2 versus 3. And then between those two matchups, I've got Russia and USA battling for the medal round. And then between those two teams, I've got Canada and Russia facing off in the gold medal game, and Canada coming out on top. And for the consolation matchup, obviously, I've got USA and Finland, and I've got USA winning that game.
Yeah, you know, I think I was just mentioning this before. I was really trying my very best this year to not start off with a prediction for Canada winning gold medal, because I thought that might come across as a little biased. Right. And I really did everything I possibly could to try to come up with a valid reason to not predict them as the gold medal champions. However, I think this year they have one of the best rosters they've had in years, and especially coming off a gold medal last year and having enough returning players that they can bring back a lot of that experience that it takes to win. I think that they have to be the overwhelming favorites this year going into the tournament. So with that, my Pool A standings are Canada finishing first, Finland second, Germany third, Switzerland fourth, and Slovakia fifth. So I think Slovakia is going to be the team that drops out and doesn't get onto the quarterfinals here. And in Pool B, I have Sweden first. I think they might continue their undefeated streak. I mean, they've done it for how many games in a row? 50 pool games?
52 or something ridiculous
52,
like
that. 52 pool matchups in a row they have won. That goes back at least a decade now that it's been since Sweden has lost in the round robin. Mm-hmm. So I have no reason to bet against them to do the same again. Number 2, I have Russia. Number 3, US. 4, Czech Republic, and 5, Austria. So going from that list, I have Canada and Czech Republic in the first round of the bracket. Don't forget that there's a crossover between pools in the first round. The second quarterfinal matchup I have is Russia versus Germany, Finland, USA, and Sweden, Switzerland. Canada and Czech Republic, as I mentioned before, I gave it away a little bit. Canada obviously coming out on top against the Czechs. I think this is a bit of a weaker year for the Czech Republic as well. Russia versus Germany. As much as I love the German team this year, I really do, and this could be the best German junior team that we've seen ever this year. Russia comes out on top because they're Russia and they have the best goalie in the tournament. And I don't think you can bet against them, especially against a team like Germany that does have a lot of talent, but has a lot of inexperience as well. Finland versus the US. I have the US coming out on top. Also a strong year for the US. I think this might be a little bit of a down year for them from the Finns. They've been really strong throughout the past decade. They've won 3 of the last 6 World Junior gold medals. But I think the US comes out on top in the quarterfinals there. And Sweden and Switzerland, obviously, again, Sweden comes out on top. This is a really weak year for the Swiss, even for the Swiss. The Swiss aren't always,
right.
They're very rarely medal contenders. They've had a couple years where they've been able to surprise. This is not one of them for them. They don't have that many prospects already drafted or guys going into this year's upcoming draft.
Right.
So in the semifinals, I have Canada versus Russia and USA against Finland. Canada comes out on top of Russia. I think Russia is the second best team in the tournament, but the way that this bracket works out, I had Canada and Russia playing in the semis. So I think Canada comes out on top there. And then the US and Sweden also would be a really great game, but I think the US comes out on top there. So I have Canada and the US in the finals, the gold medal game. And as I mentioned previously, Canada's depth and talent is just too much for any of the other teams to overcome. I think they pretty handily win the gold medal this year. They've got like 20 of their 25 rostered players were all first round picks in the NHL draft. That's ridiculous. That's unheard of. I think the most before this year was like 11 or something like that. And then in the bronze medal, Russia versus Sweden, I think Russia comes out and brings home the bronze medal. I think their goaltending and their talent up front will be enough to bring them to put them on the podium at least. So to recap, Canada gold, US silver, and Russia bronze.
Right on. So I would like to point out real quick that you brought a typo to my attention there. I completely, for whatever reason, forgot about that crossover in the first round of the bracket. So it doesn't really affect mine. It doesn't really affect mine at all. We've got Canada versus Czech and then Russia versus Slovakia in that case. And I think Canada and Russia both come out on top. So it doesn't really change much. But
so recap your podium there for a sec.
Yeah, so my podium is Canada takes home gold, obviously, and then silver medal will go to USA, silver medal will go to Russia, and then bronze medal will go to USA.
Right on. So we have the same teams, just different order. I like
pretty
it.
much. Yeah.
All right, so now we can go towards award predictions for this. So we each have our own predictions. We haven't seen each other's predictions yet, and we can kind of both go through them and kind of give our take on what the other person has chosen. So those 4 are MVP, best forward, best defenseman, and best goalie of the tournament. Start us off there, Alex.
All right. So obviously with Canada winning gold, that means the MVP has to come from Canada. And with that being said, I think the MVP is going to be none other than Kirby Dach. I think he's got a significant advantage over some of the other players that some of his other teammates in the sense that he has a full NHL season under his belt. And that, like you said, we were talking about this earlier, and this is something that's completely unheard of just because of the state of the world right now and the fact that there's no NHL hockey right now. The last time we saw anything like this was back in the lockout season in 2004, 2005. And overall, yeah, Kirby Dach, he has that NHL season under his belt, and he's got all that extra experience playing against the best players in the world. And I think he's really going to flourish in a tournament against people his age.
Yep, I agree. My pick was also Kirby Dach for the MVP. I think, yeah, with the fact that the massive advantage of having an entire NHL season under your belt when you're coming into a U20 tournament like this is just such an exceedingly huge advantage against everyone else. That I think he's going to put up ridiculous numbers and drive Canada to the gold medal and be their MVP. Top forward. Go ahead.
Top forward. Well, how about Kirby Dach again?
There you go. You can win both. So
Back to back, yeah. I mean, I think if he's going to end up being the MVP, he's obviously going to be on the first line. He's playing alongside of Dylan Cousins, and I think the two of them are going to do really well together. I think either one of those guys can take home top forward, but I'm just banking on Kirby Dach having an incredible tournament and one to remember for sure. So,
Yep.
not much else to reiterate that I didn't just say about the MVP pick. I think he's winning top forward as well.
All right. So for my pick, I'm going a little bit different route than you. I think Kirby Dach will be the MVP, but I don't think he'll be the leading scorer in the tournament. And that is because my pick for top forward is Cole Caulfield of the USA.
Okay.
I think he could be the driving force behind the US's run to the silver medal. He's going to be getting top line minutes almost undoubtedly, and the Montreal Canadiens prospect is sure to be their driving force on the offense. He's such a dynamic player, great shot, and he just puts up ridiculous offensive numbers no matter where he plays. So I think he'll do the same in this tournament. I think he'll come out as top forward.
Yeah, I remember when the Habs drafted him in the first round a couple of years ago, people were already calling him a steal at 15th overall.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, calling someone a steal in the mid-first round, that probably means he should have gone top 10. And I think that's where he was originally projected to go. So I can definitely see Caulfield taking it home. He's a very talented player.
I saw people slotting him in at like top 5 even in that draft. Like the fact that he dropped to 15. Yeah, he was definitely a top 5 talent. I guess people just kind of picked based on positional need more in that draft. But anyway, the Habs have a good player in Cole Caulfield. Top defenseman, go.
Top defenseman. Okay, so I don't want anyone calling me the biased Canadian here, but I gave top defenseman to one of the assistant or alternate captains, Bowen Byram. I think Bowen Byram is going to step into that bona fide top 2 defenseman role for Canada this year. Obviously, he was a little bit sheltered last year behind Kalen Addison, at least offensively. But without Addison being there this year, he's going to be getting top-line power play minutes. And on top of that, he's going to be used in crucial situations as well. On the penalty kill, he'll be used when it's coming down to the wire in the last couple minutes in a tie game. The coaches trust Bowen Byram, and he's your typical two-way defenseman. So I think if the tournament goes according to plan, and if Canada really does take it home the way that we're expecting them to, I think Byram's going to take home that top defenseman honor.
Yeah, so for my top defenseman, I also picked from Canada. I was very torn between their top pairing guys, which are Jamie Drysdale and Bowen Byram. But I also went with Bowen Byram just because I think he's a little bit more dynamic offensively. So he might put up the numbers that the voters will be looking for this award. So yeah, we'll breeze past that one. We're both in agreement there. Top goalie, what do you think?
Well, there were definitely a couple options to choose from here. You've got Spencer Knight with the States. You've got Hugo Alnefelt for Sweden and Joel Blomqvist for Finland. But let's just address the elephant in the room, Yaroslav Askarov for Russia.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, he has to be the top goalie this year. And he's going to be coming into this tournament with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because if you recall, he did not have that good of a tournament last year. He was obviously Russia was a good team. They always are at the tournament, but he wasn't that good in net, and it really showed through his stats. And I'm sure he's eager to get back and redeem himself. And obviously now he's got that extra confidence after the Predators drafted him 11th overall. And I think he's just far and away the best goalie at this tournament. I don't think there's any other option. And I think he is going to be, I won't say the sole reason, but he's definitely going to be the biggest part in helping Russia get to the silver medal game when you're going by my prediction.
Yep, and I think when I was thinking about who I could predict to win gold over Canada and why, this was the biggest case I could find for any other team, which was Yaroslav Askarov on Russia. If he snaps in this tournament, Russia could win the gold medal. It's like if you can't score on Russia, then you can't win. So if Yaroslav Askarov can shut down Canada in that semifinal matchup that I have predicted on my sheet here, then Russia could go all the way and win gold. And I think he's absolutely going to win gold, best goalie of the tournament. And I think Russia's success is entirely dictating on his performance in this tournament. In touching on his performance at last year's tournament, yes, he did underperform, but it's also so rare and ballsy of a move for one of the top 6 countries like that to go with an undrafted goalie as their starting goalie. So the fact that they did that kind of shows how much faith they had in him and shows that they were kind of like trying to prime him for this year, especially. So I think Yaroslav Askarov is far and away the most important
Right.
player on Team Russia and will be the best goalie in this tournament.
Now, when you say that's interesting, you say that because that kind of raises a question I have for you. Do you think we could see Sweden pull something similar with Jesper Wallstedt this year? Because they've got. Yeah, go for it.
That's an interesting thing because I was considering that as well because they don't really have Sweden doesn't really have another goalie that's like stealing the crease, right? He's not like they don't have a particular goalie that's it's their crease and no one else can touch it. So
right.
this is another goalie who is projected to go in the first round, and it's pretty rare for goalies to go in the first round of the NHL draft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know recently we've had Spencer Knight and Yaroslav Ascara both go in the first round, but that was because they were like top end goaltending prospects, like best prospects we've seen since like Carey Price or Carter Hart or something like that. So yeah, I think they could run with him. I don't think they'll start with him, but I think if their guy falters a little bit, I think they could throw the youngster in net and see how it goes.
Right. And just for any of the listeners here who aren't aware of quite how good Yaroslav Askarov is, 7 games in the KHL this year. Keep in mind he's 18 years old. He's got a record of 4-3, save percentage of .962, and a goals against average of .96.
That's the second best hockey league in the world. Like KHL is nothing to scoff at. That's no junior league.
And you can make the argument all you want. Yeah, 7 games, short sample or small sample size. But I mean, the fact that after 7 games, his goals against average is still under 1. I mean, that's some serious talent right there, for sure.